I'm going to make a couple suggestions. I'm not going to take much more time, but I just want to make a couple suggestions of what I don't think economic democracy necessarily is, although it certainly may play a part. My own personal perspective is that I don't think economic democracy necessarily begins with the production unit. That is how goods and services are produced. We've lived in a mixed economy, and it's getting less mixed because it's going more and more big corporate. But if you look back to the golden age, so to speak, of American economics, American democracy, back to the 50s and 60s, a very mixed economy. And I myself, I've worked in the government, I've worked in the private sector, I've worked in private school, I've run my own business, I've been a manager for a big corporation, I've sold stuff in yard sales, everything. That's a mixed economy. And to me, that's a sign of economic democracy. If I have a choice, or if other people have a choice as to how to organize the way they produce things, the way they make things, the way they sell things, that's freedom. And that's a kind of freedom that I like. So I want to leave the door open for people to organize and structure their production the best way that they can. Now, I do have to say that the least freedom I ever had as an employee was working as a manager for the big corporation. The big publicly traded corporation. That had more rules and regulations than any bureaucracy I've ever worked for, including the U.S. Treasury Department. And that, as you know, is a bureaucracy. So that's one thing that I want to suggest. The other thing I want to suggest is just to put on the table a point of contention that I think has been with us for decades and is going to continue to be with us, because many people very honestly equate economic democracy with job security, with job creation, with job restructuring. I mean, if you look at the military-industrial complex, how much of that is just job creation, just to pump money into the economy? Do they really have that much to do? I mean, my brother-in-law knows somebody who works in his office. He's an electrical contractor. And she talks about her dad, who, I don't want to insult anybody. I mean, I'm a retired federal employee, and I've spent plenty of time at my job surfing the net. But I tell you, some of these people, that's all they do. And they get a lot of money. And they get double-dipping salaries, too. You know, they get their federal, their military pension, and then they're out there with a contractor job, surfing the net. That's job creation. Is that economic democracy? Well, you got to pump the money into the economy because there's not enough to buy stuff. But is that the best way to do it? My suggestion is no. My suggestion is we throw out the idea of job creation and job security, and we replace it with a concept of income security. Income security. There's a big, big difference. I'll give you an example of real economic democracy in the United States, believe it or not. Is anybody here from Alaska? Okay. Even if you're not, have you heard of the Alaska Permanent Fund? Okay, the Alaska Permanent Fund, once a year, out of the resource royalties that come into the state of Alaska, they don't put that into the state government. There was a plebiscite. They said, should we give this to the state government? They'll spend it on all their great welfare programs. People rose up. They said, no, give it to us. Give us the money. What a great, strange idea. Give them the money, and so they did. So once a year, everybody in Alaska, every resident, Nick defined resident pretty broadly, gets cash, gets money. I think last year it was $1,700 a person. So if you've got a family of 4 and you've got almost $7,000 coming in a check, that's going to make you feel pretty good. You don't have a means test. You don't have a bureaucrat asking you if you qualify. You don't have a form to fill out. They just give you the money, and you do with it what you want. And you don't have to account to anybody for it. You can buy what you want. You can put it into your business. You can pay off your debt. You can send your kid to school. You can do what you want. And with some people, they even do things with that money that you don't expect. They may take a few weeks off, write a book, go fishing. Wow! Freedom! How weird, how strange. You don't have to punch the clock. You don't have to report to anybody. Very, very unusual. So anyway, I think we should do that for everybody in the United States, in the world. Yesterday we explained why in our monetary reform panel, why it makes good economic sense. So I'm not going to go into that today. That's another half-hour talk. But it makes not just good economic sense, it makes moral sense. It It makes political sense. It makes healthcare sense. It makes artistic sense. This is what I think we should do for economic democracy. We call it a basic income guarantee. We can call it a national dividend. We've got a friend of mine here, Steve Schaeferman, who's coming out with a brand new book on it. But he calls it the citizens' dividend. It's a great idea. So that's my hobby horse. Think about it. And if you want to move to Alaska, take me with you, because it's a great idea.
How do you
So that's my introduction.
How do you
We have